Hey everybody, welcome back to Classic Firearms. I'm Matt, and it's been a while since you guys saw me in a solo video, huh? But I'm excited to be back because it's about 2 months out from the start of deer season here in North Carolina. It might be different for you depending on where you live or when you see the video, but what I want to do is cover the top 5 budget rifles for hunting. That's right, because you need time to get out there, make sure it's all sighted in, work out what loads you're going to use, and you need a little bit of time to take stock of how your setup's going to work. So we wanted to go over 5 budget rifles that you can get into the great outdoors and make sure that that shot lands when it first counts. Now I'm going to go in kind of ascending financial order, but keep in mind that because of these rifles, they come with so many different variations from barrel length and caliber, the stock material, finish on the rifle, that there's going to be a big variation in exactly how much a rifle will cost depending on the specific options that you select. So this lets you pick options that you care for, but also look at kind of budgetary constraints. But yeah, so let's gonna start with our first rifle, the Mossberg Patriot. All right, guys, so the Mossberg Patriot is our first rifle, which means that in general, it's going to be the least financial burden option. But again, depending on the options that you choose. Now, this rifle in particular is a 22-inch barrel, 243 Winchester. Now, I know there's a lot of hunters out there that kind of rag on the 243 because they look at it as like a kid's caliber, but keep in mind that that's the same case as a 308, but pushing a smaller projectile, so it's pushing it faster. That partially means that you're going to get a lot more velocity and it's going to be flatter shooting. So if you're looking at shooting longer distances and needing to make wanting to make a little bit less adjustments to your point of impact and your point of aim, then 243 can be a great caliber, as well as being lower recoil for smaller, younger shooters or something like that. So it kind of does earn the introductory caliber designation in that regard. Now, what's really good about the Patriot line is that first off, they're going to come with these pre-mounted scope bases, and that's whether you buy a package rifle with a scope or without a scope. It's got a spiral fluted bolt, and that's going to ease with extraction and kind of just cycling the bolt manually. They also have these nice fluted barrels, which helps reduce the weight out here on the far end. So as you can imagine, when you shoulder this, the longer barrels, they're getting that weight farther and further away from you. So the fluting helps take just a little bit of the weight off the end of that barrel so that it's a little bit easier to hold for longer periods of time. When it comes to this one has the wood stock. They also do come with the synthetic stock, which is going to make it lighter weight. And I think an important thing to keep in mind with the weight of your rifle is that weight's not always bad. Sure, if you're going to be walking long distances to get to where you're going, then you're carrying the weight for so much more of the time. But it also helps to mitigate felt recoil, and it really helps settle you in to make that shot when it counts. So another thing that's really cool about the Patriot, it's got their lightning bolt action trigger, so that's an adjustable trigger, and it's got a very positive grip on that bolt handle when you're going to get that. So yeah, I think that the Patriot becomes a very attractive kind of introductory option for the shooter out there by Mossberg. Let's go on to number 2. For the second rifle on our budget hunting rifle list, I'm going to go with the Savage Axis Mark II. And the reason for that is I had a lot of personal experience shooting that back in our bolt gun series. Now, if you remember, I was given the least expensive option out of the 4 rifles we shot in that series. And I still feel like it performed better than you would expect given the cost difference that you will see. So I was able to outshoot Clint using the Bergara. And I really felt like in most of the challenges that we went through, I really held my own, and when I failed, it was definitely due to me and not the rifle. Probably my favorite thing about the Savage Axis was the AccuTrigger. So it's an adjustable trigger, and it really does a phenomenal job of allowing you to get kind of the perfect trigger pull you're looking for. It also, the one I used had a synthetic stock, which made it phenomenally light. Now again, like I said earlier, being the lightest weight isn't always the best, but there are certain activities where you're going to be hiking a lot or going up rocky terrain, or maybe you're just stalking and you're spending the entire time walking instead of up in a tree stand or something. And that lightweight can really be a lifesaver when ounces equal pounds, pounds equal pain, right? So again, this is going to be kind of the second most least expensive option, generally speaking. And there are a ton of packages that come out with this for all kind of different caliber combinations, and often they will come with a factory mounted scope. Now, I do want to throw a little bit of kind of a cautionary word, because what I found in my experience was that the finish wasn't the best. We were shooting a couple times late at night, and there was kind of some moisture in the air, and I ended up having to clean spots off of my rifle I was using. So maybe that is a point that could be improved on by Savage, was that finish. But other than that, it was a just fantastically performing rifle, and I can't give it more credit, which is why it's on the list of top 5. All right, guys, so for the third option here on the list, we have the Ruger American, and specifically, I'm going with the Ruger American Predator. Now, that is not what I'm holding here. This is a Ruger American rimfire, but I did not have a Predator available. But I wanted to have something here to show you guys. So one of the things I think is really cool about the American Predator is that it comes with a threaded barrel, which is fairly unusual for a lot of hunting rifles. But if you think about it, it does open up a lot of options when it comes to different muzzle brakes to help control felt recoil, a suppressor in case you want to keep the noise level down. Also, they do include the Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger. So you're able to really customize that trigger pull when it comes to the weight and feel of it. It is also a rifle that has a free floated barrel, which again, it can kind of improve the accuracy of your rifle, because what it means is that the action is bedded into the stock, but the barrel itself doesn't contact the stock. And so allowing the barrel to not be pushed on in any way, and which biases the shot. So they use a V-block technology to bed the rifle here. And one of the things that can really cost people a lot of money is taking a hunting rifle and going back and having a gunsmith bed the action so that it has a free floated barrel. In this case, it just comes free floated already. So the Ruger American specifically, again, I'm recommending the Predator as your number 3 option here on the top 5 hunting rifles. The next entry, I wanted to make sure to put down a dedicated 22. I know that we just saw the American rimfire, but this is a dedicated 22 line. It is the CZ457 rimfire, and specifically in 22 long rifle. So you can also get this rifle in 17 HMR and 22 WMR, but I think that there is going to be so much sporting that is done with 22 long rifle when it comes to things like small game, rabbits, squirrel, even small birds that are being used as pest control, rats on farms. There's so much sport shooting that is done with the 22 long rifle specifically, but other rimfires as well, that I needed to have a dedicated rimfire platform in my list. And I think the CZ457 is a phenomenal platform when it comes to sporting. So first off, one of the things I love about it is it has a 60-degree throw on the bolt handle. This is less than most other bolt actions on the market. They usually go up to like 70, 75 degrees. So the 60-degree bolt throw means that when you lift that handle, you're only moving at 60 degrees. And so your hand has got more clearance away from, say, a mounted scope or other magnified optic that could have a larger, bell on it. I think that is just one of the greatest things about the platform. Also, again, it's extremely lightweight, and being a dedicated rimfire platform from CZ, CZ's renowned for the very high quality of their craftsmanship. It's got a hammer forged nitrided barrel, so there's no concerns with the finish or the quality of the barrel. It's not using a less expensive button rifled barrel like some of the rifles we've talked about previously. It's really getting into a kind of a very feature-rich level, even though it's still maintaining a fairly, affordable price point when it comes to the introductory shooter. All right, guys, so I want to throw in a quick honorable mention here before I get to the last rifle on my list. And I do love this platform. I just felt it kind of exceeded price-wise what I wanted to include on a budget list of rifles friendly to introductory shooters. And that's going to be the Weatherby Vanguard. So the Vanguard is, first off, it's manufactured in Japan. It is not an American-made rifle, but the Japanese make some just fantastic rifles. That's also where the manufacturers for other companies such as Winchester are. And the Weatherby Vanguard, it is just a very precision rifle. So the manufacturer guarantees that with appropriate ammunition, you're going to shoot 1 MOA or less. Unfortunately, like I said, when you're looking at a budget list for newer shooters, I think that the price tag on the Vanguard just kind of pushes it a little bit out of what I wanted to focus on. But yeah, so I think that if you maybe have a little extra cash, definitely check out the Vanguard. But on to our number 5, or in this case, maybe consider it the number 1 rifle on the list from Tikka. All right, guys, so for our final rifle, the ultimate rifle on our budget intro list for hunting rifles, obviously this is not budget the way it's set up, but it is the Tikka T3X. And you could say that this has been turned into more of a PRS style rifle, but it would come in a stock like this. One of the things that's really cool about the T3X is that not only is the trigger adjustable, but also you can interchange kind of the pistol grip area of your stock so that it customizes not just the trigger pull, but the whole feel of interacting with the rifle and angle at which you are interacting with the rifle. So I think that is phenomenal. It does come with a detachable box mag. So this has been moved into an MDT XRS chassis system. It's got this really cool EOTech Voodoo 3.5 to 18 power scope. So nothing about the rifle anymore is really budget friendly, but I tell you what, it kind of does show you that as a introductory hunter, what you can go from and to, right? So you can go from a rifle that is still budget friendly and move into a much more high performance style rifle without having to change the rifle itself, right? The main platform is the same. So in addition to the interchangeable pistol grips and the adjustable trigger, you also have a heavier adjustable butt pad. So again, allowing you to adjust that length of pull and to be able to really absorb that recoil. Also, Tikka, which is made in Finland, by the way, these are imported from Finland, has a long history of making very high quality rifles going back to before World War II. And they also guarantee that using appropriate ammunition and of course you doing your part, that this would be sub MOA. Which means that basically, just to explain that for people who might not know, since this is focused on introductory shooters, basically it means that if you were to shoot a grouping at 100 yards, that the group would be less than an inch. And generally speaking, in order to make this claim, they have to say that if you shoot 3 groups, like all 3 groups will be less than 1 inch. So a repeatable result with appropriate ammunition and you doing your part. So, you know, again, when you're looking at getting into the world of outdoor sporting and into the world of hunting, you know, there's a lot of things to take into consideration because you have to deal with the weather. You have to deal with, you know, the changing environment when you're outside. You have to worry about how you're getting to a place and setting up and how you're getting out of that place, especially if you're going to be lugging a larger game like deer out of there. And so there are a number of factors about your rifle that you might want to consider. You know, if you're shooting somewhere heavily wooded, then maybe barrel length isn't as, you know, necessary because you're going to be shooting over short distances and you want to avoid snags. If you're going to be shooting from one mountain to another mountain across a valley, then you're going to want something that's going to really be able to, you know, carry the force needed to dispatch game that longer distance. Maybe you're just looking to go, you know, walking through the woods back behind your house and shoot some squirrels, in which case something that's lightweight and handy is going to be much more, you know, available to you. But in any case, these are 5 different options that we've given that have a phenomenal variety when it comes to the specifics, the barrel length, the caliber, the finish, the stock. You can really get into a rifle that is exactly right for your situation and your desires, and do so in a affordable way for someone who is just getting started and doesn't know that they want to dump, you know, $3,000 into a hunting rig. So keep in mind that when you do buy your rifle, if it doesn't come already as a package with your scope, then you have other costs that are going to be involved, such as mounting a scope, purchasing a scope. Depending on what type of hunting you're doing, that could be a magnified optic like this, or it could be something that is a fixed magnification, lower power. Maybe if you're just kind of doing some squirrel hunting or something, maybe you don't want to use a scope. You're just going to go with iron sights. But you know, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I think that one of these 5 lines are going to cover you and whatever you need. All right, guys, so thanks for coming back to Classic Firearms. Again, we really appreciate your guys' viewership, and please let us know down in the comments what other styles of shooting are you interested in. Are you looking at what kind of shotguns are good for sporting? You know, again, we're covered rifles today, but shotguns are certainly prevalent and a frequent thing that's used for hunting out there. Maybe you're looking to do more kind of bird shooting or skeet shooting and you're interested in shotguns for that. But get down in the comment section, let us know what you're looking for, and we are happy to have you. So once again, appreciate your time and God bless. We'll see you next time.